on a platter. That is how my next guest defines the Supreme Court's historic decision on President Obama's health care law, upholding it by calling the mandate and the penalty, a tax. Vast new authority that the court just handed. Well, Congress, Judge Andrew Napolitano, is here to talk all about it. Power on a platter. Scary.
Well, it is scary, and the reason I say that is because the opinion stands for the proposition that the Congress's ability to tax is without limit. So we know that Congress can tax your income. We know that Congress can tax your purchase of gasoline. We know that Congress can tax your purchase of tobacco. But this is the first time in the history of the country that Congress can tax you for doing nothing. So the government commands you to buy health insurance and you don't buy it, and the Congress can impose a tax, even though the command is unconstitutional. How do we know that? Because the opinion says it. Congress has no authority to command you to purchase a product, but yet it can tax you for the failure to purchase it. If you extend that logic out just one more step, then Congress can command anything it wants, whether it's authorized to do so under the Constitution. And if it taxes you for not complying with that command, then the command and the tax are somehow lawful. That's why I called it power on a platter. It is a vast new federal power that this bizarre coalition of 4 progressive justices and 1 Chief Justice who held himself out.
You almost called him a conservative.
Well, right, he held himself out as a conservative. President Bush nominated him as that. They formed this coalition, and they grounded the law in legal arguments that even the proponents of the law didn't make.
Essentially, the Supreme Court decision says to Congress, you can impose behaviors on the American people, and you can do it freely as long as you call it a tax. It's like, if we want you to do X, Y, and Z, we can make you do that and just call it a tax. Where could this potentially go? I don't want to be a fearmonger, but
well, it could go to the limits of the political class's ability to get away with it.
And never underestimate how far the political class will take it.
Justice Scalia teasingly said in the oral argument in the opinion back in March, can the government, if it's going to pay your medical bills, control your diet? Can it force you to eat broccoli? And everybody laughed. Well, from this opinion, yes, it can. It can say, Dagan, you will eat broccoli 3 times a week, and if you don't, we will fine you, as long as it calls the fine a tax. So that's how far the government could go. It could regulate private human behavior by taxing people for failure to comply with that behavior.
Judge, one thing that I know a lot of people have tried to come to grips with is this Chief Justice's ruling really goes against the origins of this country. And what we're against arbitrary taxation, against onerous taxation. And again, it not only goes against it, it moves this nation in a completely different direction.
I don't want to try and get into the Chief Justice's head.
No, but
he is known to me as an intellectually honest person who was a serious legal scholar. But his scholarship in this case reveals a willingness to grasp at straws in order to support the statute. I mean, the statute itself says this is a penalty. It's a shared responsibility. It's compensation for the healthcare services that you're going to get anyway if you go into a hospital where they can't turn you down. And yet somehow the court converted that into a tax. Dagan, the court has never, in italics, converted a penalty into a tax. This is the first time in history Congress has called something a penalty, and the court has said no, it's a tax.
But I guess the hope lies in we have always been quite opposed and very sensitive to onerous, oppressive taxation in this country based on our roots.
Look, the income tax is 100 years old next year, and when it was proposed, Woodrow Wilson said it'll never be beyond 3%. It was up to 20% in 5 years. In World War II, it was at 92%. Now the marginal rate is 37.5, 38.5. So the American people will tolerate heavy taxation as long as it's on somebody else.
I was trying to be optimistic. Judge, thank you.
Pleasure.
It was great.
You have a great day, even though it's a little gloomy.
No, gloomy.
For the 4th of July.
I love having you here. It's not gloomy because you know what? It's important to the future of this country and what happens to it after our generation is gone.
Well, people need to understand what happened. The court
it's scary.
twisted the Constitution and gave the Congress, as you say, power on a platter.
No, as you said, I was just aping what you said. I was just repeating it because it was genius. Fox Business's Judge Andrew Napolitano. Thank you so much. It was great to see you.
Happy 4th of July.
You as well. Celebrate liberty. Don't pay your tax. No, I'm just kidding. A free